Hey everyone, this is Lewis and Victor from FujiFilm.
Hi, I'm Lewis. I'm the product specialist, and Victor's our sales rep from FujiFilm. Good to meet you out there.
We had them in here this morning showing us their entire ecosystem of digital cameras, starting from their most entry-level camera, the XA5, all the way up through the brand new medium format mirrorless, the GF50X. We were pretty excited to play with all of these today, and I just wrote down a few questions here to ask these guys that will go live to you. So first, I want to ask both of you, you have two entry cameras that you showed us today, the XA5 and the XT100. Who are these cameras really for, and what kind of differentiates these two?
So on the XA5, 5 stands, this is our 5th generation. These are very popular cameras. Other parts of the world too is because of your selfies. By flipping the screen, pulling it up, actually you can do your selfies. You'll see your pictures, your faces, and actually will do face detection to track your faces, your movements. So for folks who are traveling during their travel locations, they could get their selfies. But we also, what's new with XA5, there is a 2.5 port for your microphone. So for vloggers, they will be a terrific camera. The only challenge will be with the vloggers, you put your mic, you might have it blocked here. Otherwise, it's good for selfies. First time you go into X series, this is working with a Bayer sensor. So anybody wants a very compact camera. One that is our newest one is the XT100 that just got introduced a few weeks ago. So that sort of resolves some of the problems. If you're really a vlogger, you just turn the screen and you can put your mic and it's not interfering with the mic. We added a viewfinder compared to XA5 without a viewfinder. So folks who are coming from cell phones, or touch screen situated for a person who like to touch and control their shots. But here we do have a viewfinder who wants to see and have a viewfinder. The exactly viewfinder that we have on our XT20. So very high quality. Additional control knobs if they want to do your creative filters or exposures, they can run through their creative custom colors. So these are good for your entry. Prices start from $599, $699 with a lens, our new PZ lens, from 15 millimeters to 45 millimeters. So it's a terrific lens, the power zoom lens. So that's really is if they want to use a viewfinder, or it comes out to if they want it just without a viewfinder and they want to keep it compact.
Yeah.
If you look at them, this is a little bit taller than this,
but they're both pretty stylish, and they do come in multiple colors, correct?
3 colors. You have this is the brown leather wrap. We have a black leather wrap, and we also have a pink leather wrap. Here, a little bit different. We have the black finish. We have a sort of a graphite finish, very similar to our X Pro 2 graphite color, and then we have a sort of a champagne silver color.
Awesome. And to all you guys watching, if you have any questions for these guys as I go through, go ahead and send them, and I'll forward them along, and we can answer some of your questions you have as well. I did want to touch a little bit on the color profiles that you just mentioned that you can manipulate with the dials on pretty much all the cameras across the system. What kind of makes your guys' color profiles unique to, say, Canon or Nikon's?
One thing about FujiFilm, if you understand, the reason we still have our name FujiFilm, we still make film. We still make color film for both black and white and color. At the same time, our heritage is also from our film. The early days, over 75, 85, actually 85 years, where industry started in motion picture film, and so something that the reason we're still keeping the full name, so we still create those profiles and place them in the camera. That's one thing Fuji has done very well in the old days. Is the days you had to put film, Canon, Nikon, Canon, whatever other cameras you had, you placed your film, you relied on the film companies, Kodak or Fuji. So the history of our film science has been placed now into the camera, so you have those film profiles in the cameras. Both our color negatives, color chromes, that's your slides, and our black and whites. So they get to see them through the viewfinder and then produce them very well in your JPEGs. You can shoot RAW and a JPEG, but a lot of times people will tend to use the JPEG because the processor does a very good job creating those profiles, the sharpening, the color, the texture, and everything else.
And I was looking at some right out of camera earlier, and they looked great. No post-processing necessary, even in print. The colors on, say, the Velvia, which is their oversaturated film, really pop. And then their newest profile, the Entera?
The Eterna is on our new H1.
Okay.
That is our cinematic film profile that came from our cinema motion pictures. So that is a little bit more color than our F-Log, but it is a little bit more flatter than our Astia, but it has a wider dynamic range. It's really cinematic look, great for skin tones. I think, like we were saying, we were talking about street photography, we'll love that.
Yeah.
That look.
And for all those Lord of the Rings fans out there, that's actually the film stock that Lord of the Rings was filmed on, and you get those really great subdued kind of New Zealand look from those films. Moving on, one of the really most impressive things for me today was the fact that you have this transition between an optical and electronic viewfinder on the rangefinders that you brought in. Could you speak a little bit more about those?
So we have two models. I think we put away our X100F. The difference between X100F and X Pro 2 is X100F is non-interchangeable. It's a fixed 35mm lens. X Pro 2 is a focal plane mechanical shutter that it uses any of our lens lineup, but it's also weather resistant. Nice thing about this is anybody who's come into the market and they would prefer optical piece, by looking through the viewfinder, they can see through the sort of our prism. We have, what we use is OLED technology, it's projected information through the optical piece, so they'll see all the information that give them light meter, focal length, depth of field, exposure, crop. That is all projected by OLED. Very good, nice technology. But with the flick of the switch, you could go from your optical piece to your electronic viewfinder. So between that and this, if you're working really close, you don't have to worry about parallax. So that will fix your parallax. But we do have light parallax. So the light parallax, what it does, it gives your box, crop box, and it'll move closer to the frame or to the lens, telling you that your subject is changing, but it allows you to create that little movement of change to center your images. So it's a fun camera, very popular with photojournalists, street photographers, travelers. It's a great camera.
That is the rangefinder of the 21st century, I think. Moving up to a little bit the more higher end, Fuji's come out with a few longer lenses, and longer lenses are always kind of nice to have around here for the parks, wildlife. Could you speak a little bit about this 100 to 400 here in the front?
So the 100 to 400 is one of our what we call red badge. So it does have fluoride coating. We call the G nano technology. Prevents some of the flaring, better control. It's also weather sealed, 5-stop stabilized, built into the lens itself. Nice thing about mirrorless, it is much compact compared to your 150 to 600. It's a very quiet lens, very fast focus. With the new update firmwares with our cameras, if you're a bird shooter, it does a very good job separating the background to the foreground from your subjects. So it's fast and easy. I use it a lot for also not just for wildlife, but also for automotive races. It does a fantastic job for tracking. And it's really surprisingly how light it is. And, again, it's all weather resistant. And combination with our new H1, with XT2, or any of our cameras will work perfectly with this lens. And we do have teleconverters. We have two, 1.4, and we also have a 2X. I don't have the 2X at the moment, but all the teleconverters are also weather resistant. Yeah, we can print that.
Awesome. And going on to the XH1 over there on the far side, this is just a beast of a camera. It fires, what, 14 shots a second?
So they all, for most, yes, 14 seconds, 14 shots per second on the electronic shutter with the grip, and 11 frames per second with the grip mechanical. Without the grip, you go up to 8 frames per second.
Okay. And one thing that I really liked about that one, I guess it has a few of the other ones as well, but you can bracket color profiles so that in one shot you can get 3 completely unique looking shots.
Our cameras on the lineup, you all do that. So nice thing that on our bracketing modes, you could definitely select any of your film simulations. So you can choose one black and white, one chrome effect film simulation, and also a color negative. And in one shot, it will generate those 3 files. So that way you don't have to go in post-production and produce those. Those are produced by our professional pro processor.
And the electronic shutter on that goes up to 1/32,000th of a second. That's
so
3 zeros.
Yes. So XT2, Pro 2, and our XT20. So And H1 definitely,
Yeah.
go up to 132,000 with our medium format.
So the medium format now going on along, this has kind of been the big news out of Sony the past year or so. The first mirrorless medium format camera on the market. Can you talk a little about just the general build of the lens, or the camera, excuse me, and then it's 50 megapixels, correct?
51 and a half.
51 and a half megapixels, and it's a full medium format sensor, correct?
It's not full medium format,
Okay.
so it's just a tad smaller than a 645.
Okay.
It is, the sensor size is 44 by 33. So it's very similar to the size what you find on the Pentax medium format and the X1D from the Hasselblad. So it's the same size as that. So it's just so you have a crop ratio of 4:3. But it is most affordable medium format. The base price, the street price is $6,500 for the body, and then the lens start at $14.99. And of course, we are running instant rebates, so you get a better deal on any of the lenses combination with the body. So there are quite a few rebates right now that started last Sunday with most of our systems. And what was the website you could find our instant rebate?
Yeah, if you want to look up the current FujiFilm instant rebates, it's Fuji Savings.
So
Fujifilm Savings.
FujiFilmSavings.com.
Is it Fujifilm Savings or Fuji Camera Savings?
Oh, okay. Fujifilm Savings.
It's FujiFilmCameraSavings.com.
Okay.
That's all of them combined.
Yeah.
So if you guys do want to check out the most recent prices on these cameras, they're all up to date there. Again, that's FujiFilmCameraSavings.com.
And then add on to the medium format, we just introduced our new 50 f4 lens, long lens for this medium format.
And that's the 7th of this?
Yes, and that's with the teleconverter 1.4. We also introduced two extension tubes. So if you're into
Macro
it will work
photography.
with any of our lenses.
Great. And the GFX 50X is just lightest medium format camera I've ever held. It has a beautiful viewfinder. Everything about it, it's weather resistant. Yep. Really built to last. Great for the outdoor travel photographer and landscape photographer, even studio. It has direct AC imports to keep it plugged in, and it's really kind of sending shockwaves through the industry right now. I want to wrap up a little bit with these guys. Don't want to hold you guys here too long. But Victor and Louis, thanks so much for coming out today.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us.
And if you guys have any more questions, you can see us